I'm on one of my recent videos. I came across a couple individuals that had a real problem with the term pagan. A lot of people who are, especially Reconstructionists, see the term as derogatory or pejorative that Christians use against us during Romans went through Europe and stuff like that, and took the cities and took the temples and converted those to Christianity. And basically the people who were on the outskirts of the city and the country were still left with the old religion, while the city folk were converted to Christianity first. So there was this differential between the city folk and the paganas or country folk, and so the term pagan comes from that. It was, pretty much used as a pejorative, and at that time, a lot of people have problems with people using the term today when it comes to the greater, earth spiritualist, polytheist, magic practicing community, which, is kind of hard to put under any one label, even though there are a lot of similarities between our different paths. And they do deserve kind of a umbrella type label if you just think like for social reasons. But, a lot of people have problems with the term pagan. I personally don't. I've identified with the term pagan for a long time. I consider it a term that we claim for ourselves. A lot of times when it comes to subcultures, they'll take a pejorative or a derogatory term and take that term and use it within that subculture to identify with, because of the oppression that they've had from the larger community and stuff like that. So, but what I don't get is why someone would actually go to the point where they would hate someone who believes differently than them when it came to that term. I understand that we take our gods seriously, and I personally do take my gods seriously. I consider my gods to be pagan gods because, most people who believe in them would identify with the term pagan. At least most people I've met would identify with the term pagan, but they're not exclusively pagan gods, because there are people out there who don't identify with the term pagan, who believe in those gods and worship those gods. So it's not that I think that everybody should call them that, and I don't think I've ever said that. But I do reserve my right to refer to my gods the way that I see fit. And I see that fit because when I look at the term pagan, what I see it meaning today fits the terminology for those gods, which is gods that are worshipped by pagans. If you had another religion, then it would be gods worshipped by that culture. See, there's a lot of people who will, recognize one set of gods while recognizing gods from other cultures or other quote-unquote pagan ideas, and therefore identify with the term pagan. So, in our culture context, it makes perfect sense to refer to gods worshipped by pagans as pagan gods. But that doesn't mean that they're exclusively so. It just means that, for us, those gods are pagan gods. We recognize them because our culture is pagan. Just as back in the day, there was cultures for certain parts of the world, like Celtic and Greek and stuff like that, and there still is, as part of a smaller part, like a subculture of our subculture. But, when it comes to the larger subculture, that's pagan. At least that's how I identify it, and I think most of the people here probably identify it as pagan or neo-pagan. I don't personally like the term neo-pagan. I think it's unnecessary, but a lot of people do identify with that term. That's fine. I don't have a problem with people identifying with it, but the larger pagan community is usually referred to as the pagan community, and therefore I refer to the gods as pagan. So I want to know what you guys think. Do you think it's disrespectful to use the term pagan, or do you think that because we are a subculture, that we're allowed to use pejoratives as terms within our own subculture context?